Renowned rapper Kiernan Forbes, popularly known as AKA, has been shot and killed in Durban. He had been in eThekwini for a performance. KZN police say the multi-award winner and his close associates were leaving a restaurant on Florida Road when suspects opened fire on them.
In today's top story, renowned rapper Kiernan Forbes, popularly known as AKA, has been shot and in Durban in KwaZulu-Natal.
Wherever I go, you go. Some of the last words uttered by Kiernan Forbes, known professionally as AKA. The 35-year-old rapper was gunned down outside a restaurant on Florida Road in Durban last night.
On the 10th of February 2023, Kiernan Forbes, or AKA, who was one of South Africa's most celebrated rappers, would unfortunately be assassinated right outside the Wish restaurant on Florida Road in Durban, KZN. And pretty much ever since then, South Africa has been lost for words for what exactly transpired that day. Because it wouldn't only be AKA whose life was taken that day, but also his close friend and collaborator, Tebello or Tibz, was also brutally killed that day. And ever since then, really, this case has really gripped the nation. And there had been a lot of updates and a lot of things that have happened that have really confused the South African population. However, in this video, I aim to really discover what exactly happened that day and what are the updates that we've received thus far regarding this case. Because at the moment, we don't know who exactly put out this hit, who exactly fired the trigger, who are the people who were connected in the getaway, in the planning of this murder, and who are the people who are ultimately responsible for taking one of South Africa's biggest rappers' lives in cold blood.
The state has concluded its arguments in what has been a lengthy bail application for 5 men accused of the murder of Forbes and Mchunu. In the spotlight once again, the 800,000 rand paid by Mfundo Caba to Kwabeni, who is believed to have coordinated the hit a day after the fatal shooting on Florida Road in Durban.
So, for a bit of some context, which I know a lot of people are lacking when it comes to this case, the investigation shortly after the murder was led by the KZN police as well as the Hawks Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, and they would pretty much be spearheading this investigation and really trying to connect the dots as to who exactly could ultimately be responsible for this murder. Now, luckily, this investigation has resulted in several arrests to date, and the charges do include murder, conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition, and also money laundering. And the motive, which is very important, appears to be tied to a contract killing, with the evidence of payments funneled through a business bank account for orchestration, spotters, shooters, and logistics as well. And obviously, as of November 14, 2025, the case is in pre-trial stages, with significant progress in November due to extraditions, but the full trial date has been delayed until mid-2026. Now, this is very important because it does at least give us the understanding that not one party is involved within this. As many people had been suspected, this is a hit for hire, and there's clearly somebody who has been linked to giving out the hit to get AKA as well as Tibz assassinated. And many people are still wondering who exactly could this be. And this is where we move on to our key suspect, as well as the alleged roles these suspects play within this assassination. You see, several individuals have been arrested and charged at the moment, and their roles were pieced together through the CCTV footage, cell phone data, social media analysis, ballistic evidence, and also witness statements that were all carried from the night of this assassination. And here's what we know so far. You see, Ndimande, who was 29, was the alleged shooter and one of 2 gunmen who fired the fatal shots at AKA and Tibz. And this guy was arrested in February 2024 in South Africa. The next suspect is Ndimande, who was 35 years old, and he is the alleged co-shooter, and he worked alongside Ndimande in the execution, and he was also arrested in February 2024 in South Africa. Now, the third suspect we have is Malusi Ndimande, whose age is undisclosed, and he was the alleged spotter, and he was tasked with monitoring AKA's movements and signaling the shooters to go and do the hit. And he was arrested in Eswatini in March 2024 and he was extradited on the 11th of November 2025. The fourth suspect we know is Siyabonga and Ndimande, who was an alleged co-spotter and logistics coordinator, and he assisted in tracking and getaway planning. He is the brother of Malusi, and he was arrested with him in Eswatini and extradited with him as well on the 11th of November 2025. And the fifth suspect we know is Ndimande, who was 36 years old, and he was the alleged mastermind and the financier, and he was accused of orchestrating the hit and paying approximately 800,000 rand, which is about $44,000, to the hitmen via a business bank account. And he was described as the coordinator who assembled the team, and he was arrested in February 2024 in South Africa.
Advocate Joseph Valmarans, representing the fourth accused Ndimande, read his client's sworn statement out in court. In the statement, Gwabeni says he has a mining company listed as Gwabs Trading in Ermelo, Mpumalanga, and if denied bail, his business will suffer. He says his construction company has a turnover of around 2 to 3 million rand per annum. The state is also alleging that Gwabeni's car was used in the planning of the murder.
This is the big guy. This is the guy who called the shots. This is the guy at the head of this operation. Now, being the detectives that we are, we can start to paint a picture of what exactly happened that night and who exactly were the people responsible for AKA and Tibz. And the dots are starting to connect perfectly as to who exactly played what sort of role when it came to this assassination this night. We do unfortunately see that AKA was being monitored the entire time. I can only imagine that while he's enjoying dinner with his friends, he had no idea that his footsteps, that his movements from A to B to C were being monitored all along, and he had no idea that while he's enjoying this night out with his friends, his seconds, his hours were numbered. And who exactly was the head of this entire operation? Well, that was none other than Ndimande, who was quoted as being the coordinator, the mastermind, the financier behind this entire assassination. And I realized that there is a lot that we still don't know regarding this AKA assassination story. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be splitting this investigation into different videos so that we really understand who exactly these people are. Who exactly is Gwabeni? And was he really alone in spearheading this entire assassination, or was he paid off by somebody much bigger? The truth is a lot darker than it seems. However, what we do know so far is that the Ndimande brothers were extradited from Eswatini all the way to Durban so that they can face the music here. And this is moving appropriately so that when the trial starts mid next year, at least all the accused parties can be under one setting. And now all parties involved can at least be present for pre-trial resolutions so that the courts can at least get their ducks in a row. But make no mistake, this is not the end of this issue, and I will be covering a lot of theories that a lot of South Africans have had regarding this assassination, as well as posting updates with regards to how the trial is going when that day comes. However, something in me tells me that this case isn't as black and white as it seems.